Hello YouTube, this is Red Rabbit, and I just thought I would make a quick Banished tutorial video. So I know when I started playing this game I had a lot of trouble getting started, but after you get it figured out it's a lot of fun and quite relaxing. So I'm gonna start a new game. I'm gonna go with a medium map, valleys, medium starting conditions, although what I'm going to do, you could do on the more difficult starting conditions also. If you want this same map that I'm about to get, you can just copy this map seed. But let's get started. Hey, it's a picture of a civilization which is going well for once. Normally they give you these pictures of burnt out civilizations. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is open up all my tools, everything I might want to see, and I've just kind of gotten used to laying it out like this. From the little map, it looks like we got quite a good setup. Sorry. We have it doesn't like the way I have it set up right now. That's okay. Okay, so when you get started, a lot of people want to make a farm first thing. That's not necessarily a great idea. There's nothing wrong with making a farm, but you have to be really careful about how you do it. So I'm just not going to do that. I'm going to go with a forester strategy. So let's turn up the game speed. And we need a few builders, but mostly laborers right now. Okay, and the first thing you want to build is a stockpile, because otherwise they'll be wandering all across the map all the time. And we're going to clear all the stone out of this area, and clear all the iron out of this area. Perfect. And now I'm going to open with a forester's lodge and a gatherer's hut. And the gatherer's hut will actually give you all the food your starting civilization will need. To rotate buildings like I just did there, you just hit R. Pretty simple. Let us prioritize these buildings so that they actually get done. And I'll just get you started on the first few years, enough to stabilize, and then you can expand your knowledge from there by yourselves. So the two keys to this game are you want to build a delocalized civilization, and you want to minimize the walking distance of all your people. Okay, so now I've got my forester and my gatherer. I'm going to drop 4 houses. You want to drop them just a little ways away from everything else so that when fires start they don't burn down everything you own. And now I'm going to up my builders. And again we'll prioritize the buildings to make sure that they actually get built. So we want to build the houses for people near to where they're going to work, and we want all the storage that people are going to be needing near the houses and near where they're working also. And by doing those two things you minimize the walking distance that everyone has to travel, and that will dramatically improve your ability to survive. Okay, so we got 4 of our houses. We're gonna need 1 more. I'm running low on wood, but that's okay. We'll drop our 5th one right there. Maybe I should have dropped the 5th one like over here so that it's a little further away, but that's okay. We do want to get this house up before winter. The other thing we really need to get up is our woodcutter. So I'm going to drop that next. You noticed I haven't switched anyone into food production. That's because we still have some food, but now I'm going to do it because we're almost out. So there we go. There's our gatherers. And I also want foresters. And I don't want to lose my entire pool of laborers, so I'm going to do this. I'm also, as soon as this woodcutter is up, I'm going to drop my next house. A lot of people tell you to expand slowly in this game, and I don't think there's actually a need to expand slowly. You have to expand smartly, and that's more important than expanding slowly. If you follow the strategy that I'm going to do, you will have a fairly large population pretty quickly. Okay, so I'm going to drop my hunter's cabin next, and put it down here. Can't really hunt in the water very well, although, where's the best place? Yeah, I guess this is fine. It doesn't really matter that much. The other thing I really need is a storage barn up here, because again, I want to minimize my walking distance. Storage barn is something that I like to put a little bit away from everything else, because I don't want my storage barn to burn down. That's a very bad thing, and so when a disaster comes and burns down half your town, you want to not have everything burn down at the same time. So that's key. Okay. What are we low on? We are low on logs, so I do have foresters working on the log situation, but I'm just going to go ahead and clear cut a few trees. Okay, we can assign a hunter now, or a few hunters, and I think it's time to drop my next house. You want to keep building houses. That's one of the most important things in the game, is you can't stop building, because if you stop building, the way the childbirth is set up in this game, your population will stagnate and then drop, and that's bad. Okay, so I'm going to build some roads in here. Sure. I've kind of put these a little too close, probably, but that's okay. If you are a person that hates disorganization, you may not enjoy my playthrough of this game. I'm not the most organized player, but that's okay. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to build a road here, and I'm going to bridge this gap. So when I build in this game, I kind of build groups of buildings, and then I move over and I build another group of buildings, and if you do that, you can expand to cover this entire map and eventually have huge population. By huge, I mean hundreds of people. Of course, as your population rises, there's some problems with the game mechanics that will prevent you from growing to monstrous levels, but I will go over that a little later when we get into farming. So, okay. Now it's time to start our next bunch of buildings. So I kind of define my groups of buildings by the areas they cover. So we want a Forester's Lodge about here, but before the Forester's Lodge, I want a stockpile so that my laborers spend less time walking and more time doing what they're supposed to be doing, which is laboring. Okay, there we go, my stockyard's up. So now I will drop my next Forester's Lodge. Now you know what, before I expand too much more, I need my blacksmith up. I do have my woodcutter, and I have all my gatherers goods, so I'm good there. And I'll assign... I'm gonna leave hunters alone. I don't actually need that many hunters. Another thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna up my fuel limit to 400. I find that you can never have enough firewood, because later in the game we're basically gonna use firewood for currency. I'm gonna pick up all the rocks again. A, that'll keep you from running out of rocks, and B, it'll allow more trees to grow, which will improve the efficiency of your gatherers' huts. So, yeah, you can kind of tell if you've expanded, if you've got too many buildings in one area, if you run out of rocks. So if you find you're running out of rocks, I suggest you build a new grouping of buildings somewhere else where there are more rocks. And that's kind of just a general way to know how concentrated you are. Also, if you hold shift when you're building roads, generally they build roads in the straightest way possible, except I have all these rocks in the way preventing me from dropping this road where I want it. So I'm going to wait a little bit on that. But let's make our next houses. Again, we want people to have short distances to walk to their jobs. And I will be able to support these houses when I drop my next gatherer's hut and hunting lodge. As you can see, I'm not even close to running out of food. I've completely ignored farming for now, and I think that's probably the easiest way to get started. Although there's nothing wrong with dropping farms if you do it in the right way, which I will show you momentarily. But first I want to get up my gatherer's hut. So let's do it like this. And now the rocks are gone, so I can put the road where I wanted it. I don't recommend building the stone roads right here until much later in the game when you can afford to do so. Eventually you'll be able to trade for stone, and that'll allow you to do to build things like stone roads, which I kind of consider to be luxuries, which we can't yet afford at this time in the game. I'm just going to rotate. Because of the way I have my, because of the way OBS has trouble with this game, I can't move around quite as easily as I would normally. But that's fine, I can still move sideways, which is all I really need. Alright, it's going to take them a little while. They're slow to build all these houses. Let us prioritize. The structures, build the structures. While I'm doing that, I'll show you the Paths tool. And the Paths tool is what will really help you optimize your build. So if you click on the Paths tool and click on something like the Forester's Lodge, you can see the path the people working it have to take. And as you can see, they have to walk quite a long ways to work at this Forester's hut, and that's because we have no houses up yet. So the way the game actually decides where people live is where they work, and it tries to put people close to where they work. So when these houses go up, two foresters, or sets of foresters, will move into them. If I were to click over here on this hunting lodge, you can see that the path distance is very short. And that's exactly what we want. We want the shortest possible paths to all our buildings. So if you have a location like this Forester's Lodge, where you have long paths, that is an indicator that you should build more houses near the Forester's Lodge. Okay, so now that I have my houses up, does this change? Not yet. Okay, so it's going to take like a few years. The fact that these people are walking all the way over here to get to work partially means that there's just not been enough time for the game to adjust to my new construction. But it also means that I could build a few more houses over here, and it won't hurt anything to do so. You'll notice I'm expanding much faster than some people would recommend you expand, but it will work out just fine. I'll get this set up, and then we will move on, and I'll show you guys how to set up farming. First thing we need though before that is we need our blacksmith and our tailor. So those will be the next thing. So the blacksmith is going to harvest resources from the deposit there, and then move the tools into the storage barn. So you want to put your blacksmith close to those two buildings. I also need another storage barn up here. Did I already build one? No, I didn't. So you kind of want to build in clumps like this. That's probably not a good place, because if fire comes through here, it'll burn down everything in my storage barn. So I'm going to move it a little bit away from everything else to prevent that from happening. Okay, and we could drop another hunting cabin here. The really priority needs to go to the blacksmith, so let's do that. You're almost out of tools. We're also almost out of coats, so the next thing will be a tailor. Our blacksmith is done, so we can assign the blacksmith. And the next thing we need is the tailor. You don't need very many blacksmiths and tailors, although coats can be a good thing to sell to the trading post also. Alright, I'm going to rotate this back around. I like this view a little better. So, okay, this is almost up. And you could build clumps of buildings like this and cover the entire map. And you could raise your population to several hundred people without doing anything other than what I've done so far. And everything would be fine. You would be stable. Your civilization would not starve to death doing this. But it would be kind of boring. So we're going to cover farming and trading posts next. So let's come over here to our farming area. There we go. And I'm going to next build a road over here, just to show you how to do this. If this was an actual game I was playing, I wouldn't start farming until I had 3 or 4 of these forester and gatherer hut, like hunter, gatherer, forester, and all the critical services. So blacksmith and tailor and woodcutters at all of these locations, which I actually need another woodcutter before I do anything else. Eventually you're going to want like 2 woodcutters at each of these locations, but that is a little ways off. And I am going to clean out this area for farming. Kind of a weird mouse setup right now. This is the angle I'm sitting at. We need a... Did we ever get our tailor up? Yes, we did. We have a tailor, but no one working it, so now we have someone working it. So this is going to be another clump of buildings, just like these two. Except it's going to be farms instead of foresters, hunters, and gatherers. But you need the same kind of idea in this area. When you do make your farms, it's really important that you make your farms as close as possible to a barn. So I would say like all farms need to be within maybe 20 or 30 tiles of a barn. Also, when you make your farms, it's really good to make them, and your orchards too. A good size for them is 10 by 10, and a 10 by 10 farm can be worked by 1 worker on temperate settings. So we'll drop 2 of these crop fields and 1 orchard. And then, just like in the other areas, you need some houses that are near to your farm fields for your farmers to live in. And try to leave some paths between all your houses. What am I running low on? I am running low on iron. So let's gather up some more iron. Although I now have 21 tools, and this is a small civilization, so that is going to be fine. Looks like I need another woodcutter, so let's assign that. And I'll assign a few more builders. Woodcutter. Okay, let's check our pathing and see how far people are walking to their jobs. And it looks really good. We have... everyone is close to their job right now. We can up our number of foresters. And we could potentially up our hunters too. Yeah, let's have maybe 4 hunters. Okay, so it's only year 4. And I'm already at population 22, and I'm going to get a lot bigger pretty fast. I was a little slow on this. You really want to have your fields assigned and ready to go by early spring if you're going to bother to work them. But that's okay. This is mostly for demo purposes anyway. Right, squash? Okay, so the problem why it's got a question mark is it doesn't think there's enough people to work it. And that's because I need to turn down the number of workers on all of these fields to 1. Okay. And assuming these houses were done, these farms would get harvested completely if the first frost is late, and they would almost get completely harvested if the first frost is early. They might not get fully harvested, but if you really have them fully harvested, I feel like you're kind of wasting the time of your farmers. So something else to know is that in the late game, farmers become a real problem because during the winter they'll wander off their farms and they'll go like halfway across the map to work as laborers, and then they won't be back in time to plant their crops, and they'll also starve to death as they wander across the world. So yeah, farmers need a little tweaking. I hope that gets done in a relatively soon manner. So the next thing I'm going to do, even though we're not actually ready for it, is I'm going to drop a trading post. this is just to show you guys how this works. And then, yeah, that'll be the end of the tutorial, I think. You guys can figure out the rest on your own. I'm gonna do that. The other thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop storage near the trading post. You need stockpiles and barns everywhere. Really, you just can't have enough of them. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start upping my firewood supply, because this is what I'm going to use to trade. So I'm going to up this to 1,000 right now, which is not something that this civilization can currently produce probably, but we'll see how it goes. I'll up my number of foresters if I can. No, I don't have any more people. I'm gonna have to wait for my population to increase. So as you can see, I didn't get my farms up early enough, and so the peppers are gonna get harvested, but I guess the squash the squash barely got going, and that's because my farmers lived all the way over here, and I assigned the crops late in the year. So this is gonna be a really bad harvest. But that's okay, we got a little bit of food variety from it, which means healthier citizens. I'm also out of medicine, so I should drop a herbalist. Of course, that is another person that is not going to be producing firewood for us, but that's okay. So it's year 4, and I'm at 24 people and 14 kids, and I'm feeding all of them with stored food to spare. Let's start another group of buildings. I kind of think of them as biomes almost. You have like a farming biome here, and then you have 2 woodcutting biomes in those areas. Okay, and we'll drop another stockpile, because I don't want my workers, when I harvest this area, to be wandering all the way back here. Let's see, we got laborer, farmer, forester. That's not good. We don't want any foresters here. So we need to put down some more houses so that the foresters aren't living by the farmers. I've kind of put this a little too close. You want to spread out your stuff a little more than I have it here. Again, in case there's a fire. The wells don't really work. And so really the only way to minimize farming risk is to spread out your buildings. So the reason these aren't working is because our tailor is down on leather and our blacksmith is out of iron. But that's okay. After I harvest this iron, we will have iron to spare. See, we're back up to 3 laborers, so that's good. And this year, you'll see that this farming setup is pretty effective. So we have our, okay, there we go, labor, farmer. Okay, so that's fine, as long as we don't have something like a hunter or forester in there. Let's clear the next area. There you go, there's a lot of iron for a blacksmith. And we want to get rid of the stone too. See, the radius on that is out here, so this will be the next location for our next bunch of buildings. And so I'll drop the forester. And okay, good. Our babies are growing up, so that we are going to have more laborers and more builders, which is exactly what we need to get this civilization going. How's our trading post? Excellent. We have all the resources now for a trading post. Lack of iron was preventing this from finishing, which is not ideal. And what do we have here? Herbalist needs a person. So let's put a herbalist down. There we go. And let's see how our routes look. It looks like everyone is working. No, that's not ideal. Yeah, we need a house near our trading post. And it looks like we need another farmer. Another house for a farmer. You just want to you want to be ruthless when it comes to cutting walking distance. And as you can see, it's early summer and our fields already look better than they did last year. Orchards will take like 3 or 4 years before they actually produce anything. So that is just the price of orchards. But you can't make booze from crops, and you can make them from orchards, so you know, that's important. You gotta make sure that everyone is sufficiently drunk to produce all the babies we need to fuel our future civilization. Alright, there's our forester. Let's increase the priority on the forester, and then we'll put a few houses here too. Finish our road. Okay, our trading post is done. That's excellent. So let's assign a trader. Where is trader? Here he is. And I'm going to go to my trading post, and I'm going to load up my inventory with firewood. So we're going to go for 1,000 firewood. And that is why I have these set so high. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's way too low. Let's set my foresters to 1,000, not 100,000, 10,000. Just 1,000. I'm actually, this is built like earlier than I can really support. You really need like 3 or 4 of these forest groupings to be able to support one trader, if that's okay. And yeah, we're still doing good on food. We could think about putting up a market. I wonder if we can cover everyone. We might be able to cover a lot of the civilization with a market right here. It's actually like a really bad market placement. I would want to place it like over here. Maybe over here. Kind of in between groups of, in between the groupings. Probably here is better. Yeah, let's go ahead and do this. And the reason for that is that this will allow the goods from the farmers to reach the foresters. It looks like actually a lot of the stuff is getting distributed pretty well. We have berries and onions and mushrooms and coats here. So that's all good. We could have some more tools, but that's okay. Let's put up some more houses. Looks like we need some more builders to make this happen. And I need to increase my forester count to improve the speed of our log production for firewood. And let's also drop another woodcutter. And did I already tell them to gather up where we low on firewood? Well, that's because we're selling it all. I'm always low on firewood. But the good thing about it is it's a renewable resource. So that's why I want to sell my firewood. How are we doing? Good. We're doing well on stocking it at least. So when it comes time for Trader, you'll be able to see exactly how that works. And after that, we'll probably end the tutorial here. Let's add a few more fields. Because why not? Now you want to leave gaps between all your fields so that people can run between them. Nothing's going to be planted there, and you need to be sure that you set the right number of farmers for each field. Up, down. And make sure that you have farmers assigned for all your fields. Yep, I know it is. After we got 1,000 firewood in here, my reserves of firewood will go up. Also, after this is all taken care of, my reserves will go up. Let's check my pathing. Okay. This is so long because these houses aren't done. Once they're done, the pathing will improve. Let's see, early summer. Another thing we could use is a road across here. Building your first 4 groups of buildings in a square is a really good idea, because it kind of keeps everyone close together. Everyone has access to all the other resources that are being generated. Whereas if you build them all in a line, it's not as good. Okay, let's do that. We'll build a bridge. I'm not exactly sure where the road is, but that's fine. What are we low on? Logs. That's because it's all going into firewood, baby. Okay, our tailor is apparently out of things to make clothing with, which means we need more hunters. I need another hunting cabin down here too. We're getting to the point where we can support a school also. The school is a building that kind of goes up hard because for 8 years, well, not actually 8 years, but 8 years of growth time, you produce no laborers. I'm gonna put it like this just because I want to be able to have roads through everywhere. As you can see, my food is going down, and that's because my population is shooting up, and I have not invested in enough gatherers and hunters. But we can just up this, and we'll start generating enough food again. Okay. As you can see, it's autumn, and our fields are being harvested. This one's already done being harvested. This one is late being harvested because of when I put it up. And let's check the pathing on this farm because it's a little late too. So yeah, these farms are late because the farmer has to walk a long way to get to them. So that shows you like how close you want your farmers to live to the fields that they're working. So maybe another house right here. Because I want a farmer in one of these houses to be working this farm. But our food is going up still. Let's also increase the limit of food. The food limit is set really low. You can do this on any farm. So I'm gonna just increase this to 50,000 because I mean that's about what you need for a larger civilization. We can also get another woodcutter now. So my woodcutter here has finished. What am I low on? firewood, probably. Yeah, logs is low. Oh, here we go. Here's our trader. Okay, so now if we go in here, to trade with the trader, you go into the trade menu. And these are all the things that they're providing you, and this is what you have to sell to them, and the value. So this is how you get extra seeds and stuff. So if I wanted a seed, I do that, and I think the value is 625. So I can just put in 625 firewood and I can make that trade. And if in the future there's something I want, I go into custom orders. You can only go into orders while the trader is here, and you can select when you want the order to come, and then you just click on stuff that you want them to bring. They'll only bring like 2 or 3 of these items, so if you have like a huge list of things, they won't bring it all in one go. But yeah, so you set your order, and you can also set auto purchase for things like stone. Stone is something that you're always going to be running low on, and it's really good to trade wood for stone because quarries are really bad. I recommend not getting them. It's much better to get foresters and chop firewood and trade it for stone than it is to build quarries, because quarries kill tons of people and they're really slow at producing stone. Okay, so the last thing I'll show you before I call this good is the market. So if I set, for some reason it's set to 12. Why it needs 12 vendors, I have never been able to contemplate. I always drop this to 1 and it works just fine. So we're gonna drop 1 vendor in here, and now whoever our vendor is, let's see where he is. Here's our vendor, and he will go around and he'll pick up resources. Where are you going? Apparently he lives all the way over here, which means I need a house for him closer to the market. We'll just drop a house. But so our vendor will go around and pick up resources and then move them here, and then all the other citizens will come here and pick up the resources. So yeah, all you do is keep expanding like this in small groups of buildings. Keep your paths short and keep spread out enough that you don't get too much population in one area, and you will do just great. Also drop a school. That's the next thing I should build. And yeah, after you get stable like I am now, you can start future-proofing your civilization. So you want to build things like hospitals, maybe like a hospital for every 50 people or so spread out around the map. And you don't have to staff them, but you need to have them before disease breaks out. Town hall is good. It gets you like huge influxes of people. Chapel, yeah. You can figure out the rest from here, I think. This just increases happiness, and so does the cemetery. Yeah, strange, I know. But yeah, that's been Banished. So I hope this helps you guys get started, and have a good evening.